因为首先这个组其实其他3个中单都非常强，然后我们一开始就是制定的一套以前期打得比较凶狠，然后去控制小龙，然后进行一些抱团，所以说我觉得一般我的话主要打出我自己要做的东西，因为整个队伍大家都发挥得很好，然后我相信我们能赢。
So we're doing pretty aggressive and in the early game and try to control the dragon area. So I think out for our team is play pretty well. So I want to just play well on myself.
All right. Talk to me through how this group will go from here, because Fnatic, for instance, is really well in their second game here.
因为今天你看到 Fnatic 在第2次比赛中表现得非常好，你对本个小组的形势发展怎么看？
因为我们组为外界人称之为死亡小组，然后因为可以说我们这4个队其实差距其实并不大，大家2个队之间都有可能互相赢，然后可能说今天 Fnatic 这一场打得特别漂亮，然后赢了韩国队，因为韩国队之前一直被认为非常强，其实我对这一场比赛看的也是非常的精彩，恭喜 Fnatic 赢得了这场比赛胜利。
So people know that like they all call our group as a death group because all the teams in our group actually there's not a big difference between the skill levels. So I saw this game for Fnatic versus Korean team. So actually I think Fnatic did pretty well, and there's a lot of changes in the future. Congratulations to Fnatic.
All right, very nice. Final question. You have a huge game versus Samsung Blue coming up at the last game of the day. Talk me through that matchup for you.
就是最后一个问题是你们今天晚点的时候会打三星蓝，你这次怎么看？
因为三星蓝其实在以前被我看来，在外界人认为中非常强，然后今天看了上场比赛，然后因为 Fnatic 也可以说打得非常漂亮，赢了三星蓝。其实我们现在可以觉得就是韩国队没有传说中的那么强，我觉得我们如果打得好一点。就是大家都尽量犯失误，然后在选人赛的时候做一点功夫的话，我们还是有机会赢得下一场比赛的胜利。
So people always think like Samsung Blue is one of the most strongest team in the world, but as we saw the last game that Fnatic overplayed Samsung Blue, so we will for ourselves we will do a lot better and try to perform well, and especially on some strategies.
All right, very interesting. Thank you very much and good luck in that matchup. And now let's hand it over to the guys at the desk to set up our next match.
Thank you very much, Sharks, and best of luck to LMQ later in the day. For now, I'd like to welcome Alberto Crumser and Hufo from Dignitas, as well as David Freak-Turley from the North American LCS to the desk for the next 3 matches. Welcome, guys. This match will feature LPL's OMG taking on Fnatic from the European LCS, and there's kind of a contrast here. OMG played surprisingly bad yesterday, and Fnatic played surprisingly well today. Let's start with OMG. They're 0-2. They simply can't afford to drop another game if they are looking to make it out of the groups. It's a little risky. It's a little scary. Freak, you're turning your nose up.
Yeah, I mean, you always can make the comeback the second half of the groups. It's always mathematically possible that you can fail the first 2 days and come back the next 2. But OMG are just playing worse than I expected. Cool is normally this big, hard carry for the team, their mid laner here, and yet we saw him get just kind of completely dominated so far in the first day, and that's very uncharacteristic. We know he's got a wealth of international experience. We know he showed up last year at Worlds and did phenomenally. The dude beat up Faker last year, and suddenly he's really weak, and I'm just so surprised.
Doublelift, you felt quite strongly about Dada in particular from the squad. As a support player, what does he need to do to shape up?
Yeah, I don't know what to think about Dada, really, other than there's some supports I think that are very inconsistent, right? Some of them will get caught all the time, but then they'll make the game-winning play. I think a good example of that is Moore. Sometimes he does die for free, but a lot of the times he makes the play that wins them the game. Dada seems to just die randomly. His vision control is actually pretty decent. He has a good number of wards placed compared to the other supports in the group, but overall, Dada's really just, I don't know, he seems to just die for free, but he doesn't make those big clutch plays when he needs to.
Now, Crumbs, we haven't heard from you all day long. Talk to me about the Fnatic game that I know you were watching backstage. What stood out in your mind of how they took down Samsung Blue, and what will they be taking into this match?
I think what impressed me the most was obviously Expeke. He really, like, when you take the Ahri into Zed, it's a little bit of a favorable matchup for Ahri, but you need to be really confident in this one. You can't just say, oh, I saw someone pull this off. You have to rehearse this matchup, and he beat up the guy that's known for making Zed's comeback. I was really impressed with that. And then on the other side of the coin, Deft was just getting hit by everything. Charm after charm after charm, just like in a straight line, not even like any sort of attempt at juking, and then he got destroyed by Reckless and CS. So those two things really showed up, and Fnatic just completely outplayed him.
I just want to quickly expand on the CS mark because both Expeke and Reckless are averaging ridiculous CS per minute numbers. Across both of their previous games, 8.88 CS for Peke. More impressive is Reckless at 9.97. Game 1, fair enough, he wasn't with his team, he was split pushing, but this previous game, he had 10 CS per minute, slightly over in that game, and he was with his team taking down Samsung Blue. Crepo, what sort of achievement is that for Reckless coming into this game?
Well, usually the CS numbers are pretty high on Reckless regardless, but what impressed me the most this time was that he was getting that CS while consistently playing with his team and playing the map correctly. Fnatic was not the Fnatic of yesterday. They were rotating better than their opponents. They were team fighting well. They were like making picks where they had to. They conceded objectives where they had to, and that was the most important part. They only went in when they knew they had the advantage, and I just think they played a lot smarter and just a lot better as a team. So with that momentum, they're going to go in really like just hot in this game.
Crumb, save that thought for the prediction game. We do need to roll this one on. So I'm going to put everybody on the spot, and ask who's going to win this matchup. OMG or Fnatic? Freak, you're first on my hit list.
I say Fnatic. I don't think they will ever look quite as good as they did last game. That was a just cacophony. It's not the right word. Everyone just played so phenomenal last time. I don't know if we're going to see that quite again, but I would love to see that Fnatic the rest of the tournament. Anyway, I think they're going to win here, though.
We will see if they can pull out that same level. Double lift, who's going to win and why?
I'm also with Fnatic. Reckless is just incredible. Expeke seems to be back, that clutch player that Fnatic needs to like hold them together mid lane. But really, Reckless and Yellowstar, those guys are the stars, and I think San and Dada don't have a chance.
Crumbs.
I'm going to have to go with Fnatic, and I'm really glad that we saw the interview with Reckless, and basically when they figured out their draft, they got kind of the jitters of having a bad team comp and were able to play to what they really want to be doing. So I think they'll get their team comps down and win off that. 3 for 3, European pride is flying high. Crepo, is it going to be 4?
Yeah, but I have forsaken Europe in the past, and I will never do again so I'm going with Fnatic. The matchup I'm looking forward to is actually SOAS against Going Top. I think that's the only one that's up in the air right now. With Expeke on fire, he should be holding his own at least against Cool, and then the bottom lane should also be a mismatch. Maybe the jungler matchups can like sway the tide for OMG, but Fnatic looks confident for this one.
Yeah, I do want to say that in the previous game, Prolly had doomed High to fail by praising him. He's not given praise or disdain to either of these mid laners.
We had to remove him from the death.
We had to. Guys, the majority of fans are agreeing with our analysts, and 70% of you are voting with Fnatic. We'll see if they make it 2-0 on the day. The game is about to get underway, so let's send it over to the brand new triple cast to take us into the Rift. And as we go, Fnatic have thrown themselves into a very intensive boot camp to prepare for the international stage and say they're ready to face the best from around the world.
The bootcamp for us started a long time ago, like right after Gamescom. We went to America first, 2 packs, and I think at first we were really rusty, but it was good that we had that week in NA to warm up, because when we arrived at Korea, I felt like we were a lot better.
Going into Korea, we had a different mindset. We really wanted to improve because we knew that we had the possibility to be even better at the game.
The bootcamp was really good. I think going to Korea was the step that needed to be done to get to the next level. I think if, for example, we stayed in Europe or stayed in NA or any other region than Korea, we would have had a worse chance than we do now.
We learned a lot about vision control and the OP picks that not many people in Europe picking. So I think like from the EU meta we shifted a bit to the Korean meta.
I felt like the bootcamp was really beneficial for us. I think it helped every single team, not only us, but every single team.
We were really happy to practice against the best teams in Korea, and we learned a lot. So in the end, it was really good for us.
Absolutely learned a lot, and they learned how to beat Samsung Blue, it seems. Let's see if they can do it against OMG. So, hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and of course I am joined by Martin DeVicio Lunga and Rivington Bisland III for the next 3 games.
How's it going? Feeling pretty good. They had some crazy 3 games in the beginning, so I think it might even just get crazier.
Yeah, they have been absolutely fantastic games. Let's move straight into the starting lineups for this matchup. Starting out on the blue side, for China's LPL, it is OMG. Starting out in the top lane is Going. In the jungle is Loveling. Mid lane is Cool. AD carry is San. And support, of course, is Data777.
And on the other side of the map, the red side is Fnatic. That's Soaz in the top lane, Cyanide in the jungle, Peke in mid, Reckless at AD carry, and Yellowstar at support.
And coming into this game, you've got to think, obviously, after Fnatic, they took that victory earlier on. Their morale, it was down here yesterday. It's up here right now. It is sky high out of the arena. You know, just beating Samsung Blue immediately. Everybody was saying, you know, it's a possibility. And we were backstage, obviously, talking about it. It seems to be all about the mid-game, and that really worked for them throughout the entire tournament. Problem is, OMG are kind of good at that area as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, normally we would see OMG be really good in these mid-game team fights, but their performance yesterday was very strange. It didn't look like OMG at all, and if we talk about Fnatic being like up here in terms of morale, OMG's down here. They're under the caster disc at the moment. After losing 2 games, I mean, the entire Chinese community is looking at OMG as well, and they're failing to perform.
And this is the big deal. I mean, this is the Chinese team, because the whole China region believes this, because it is a pure Chinese team. They look at, obviously, Edward Gaming, they pulled together. They were a little bit upset about World Elite, the mix that went on back at the start of the season. They look towards, obviously, Star Hong Royal Club. There's a mix of Koreans in there. So this is the team they see as representing China. There is a massive amount of pressure on this team.
And they just haven't been able to perform. And now, looking pick and bans here. Rumble yesterday destroyed OMG in 2 games. Fnatic didn't play Rumble yet, and yet OMG actually banned it because they don't want to take the chance anymore. Rumble is so good in these mid-game team fights, and that's where OMG has been losing their games.
The thing is, like, while Soaz, we've say, can kind of play everything, I don't remember the last time he played Rumble. Definitely wasn't during the entire summer, that's for sure. But who knows, maybe it's in his bag of tricks. Alistair also banned out, continuing to be one of the most banned champions throughout. Gragas banned out. That comes out of left field.
Interesting. Peke possibly using that to create what we thought was going to be a composition that wouldn't work out for him earlier with the picks, but he'd be able to create a little bit of that.
And this Gragas ban is very strange. It could again be a ban towards the top lane. I'm not sure why exactly they banned Gragas. Maybe they know something about Fnatic we don't know. But on the other side for Fnatic here, Rise banned against Going and Cool. It's a flex pick for OMG that makes a lot of sense and will probably be banned pretty much every game. And Lee Sin banned against Loveling. Remember, Cyanide, he's not a big Lee Sin player.
We talked about the mentality of these teams coming into this one. Fnatic using that last win as rocket fuel pretty much coming into this game. We know momentum is huge for them. And they're looking at the Zillion pick, which means OMG is going to be able to get the fights they want and be really reckless with those fights as well.
And OMG should be pretty happy here by getting the Zillion pick, because if you look on the other side of Fnatic, yes, okay, you take away the Kha'Zix jungle, but that's one of the worst junglers for Loveling in the jungle of OMG here. So it's not really a loss for him. He can go Jarvan instead. Now he can have the Zillion, so he can go really aggressive in the fights if he wants to. We have seen him play Evelynn in the past in LPL as well. Could be a pick for him. Not a champion we see very often. It's kind of fallen out of favor after she got a lot of nerfs.
And this is an interesting pick. The Aurelia getting locked in for the top lane of Going. It is one of his main champions, played it 10 times during the summer. Of course, we've seen Soaz playing it this matches earlier on today. We also heard he wanted to play it yesterday against Cloud9, but they didn't actually go. They went with the Lulu.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that gets countered. More importantly, what is going on for Cool? What is he going to play? Talking about on the analysis desk, the amount of pressure on this man in the mid lane. It is going to be, instead, a jungle pick, so he's holding his cards close to his chest right now.
We've only seen one Evelynn game from Loveling, actually, in OGN, but, sorry, in LPL. Still, I'm looking at this combo from OMG, and they have a lot of mid-game pressure already with the Aurelia pick. Get your Trinity Force, you have your big power spike. Zillion has a lot of damage in the mid-game. It will fall off going into late game, but he does bring a lot of damage and a lot of utility. And now you have the Evelynn as the stealth threat here, so what you can do is you bomb her, you speed her up as well, and she can flank around the enemy team really easily, land her ulti, bomb explodes, and you have a lot of instant burst damage onto Fnatic if they're not warding with pink wards on their flanks.
The big thing for me right now is the mid lane look. Obviously, we saw Peke going pretty big earlier against Dada. Zed is on the table, Yasuo is still on the table, so there's a lot of options for Cool. I wonder how it's going to get countered. It looks like it's going to be a Lulu in the top lane once again for Soaz, and Reckless happy to get Lucian.
very strong with his AP picks towards the top. Was surprised, actually everybody with only one play in the regular season took that Aurelia last time, but we do see Going has taken that away so far. And the Lulu, we see that locked in, so Peke can round out the composition for Fnatic here because pretty interesting coming in here for OMG.
Yeah, they will have the last pick option against Cool, who's been looking very, very shaky. We don't know if it's going to be Zilean mid lane just yet for Data 7 down this bottom lane. Otherwise, a champion like Braum would be open for him. He's played it a lot in the LPL. Otherwise, if he locks in Nami here, he didn't look very good on Nami yesterday. Like, his tidal waves were completely off. He did have a few good bubbles, but his ultis were, no offense, but they were terrible. But the idea is simply you have the Evelynn, speed her up with the Zilean, that's your flank, you land the slow, and then tidal wave is your like follow-up engage, which means if Fnatic is caught in the jungle in a choke point, you can hit multiple members, and suddenly OMG can just collapse onto them and pretty much blow them up from the start of the fight.
The final choice. What will Peke choose? Or will the Lulu be in the mid lane? Who knows? Of course, Kog'Maw and Nami were picked in, not Name, were picked in for OMG. It does give the final choice. What do we think here? Make a guess.
So we have seen Syndra against Zilean in the past, where Syndra will win early on because she outranged Zilean, but then Zilean ulti in teamfights is just the hard counter to Syndra's ulti here. Could be an option for him. The Ahri pickup is open as well. Somewhat the same deal.
Yeah.
You want to burst down one target, Zilean is there with his ulti to kind of stop it. And Zilean is a great pick against Fnatic because they love to get like these picks.
Oh,
wow. That's an old favorite of Xpeke here.
Exactly. Fnatic pulled Kassadin out in the groups last year at the Season 3 World Championships and caused commotion. I believe it was against Samsung Ozone as well, where they picked up that first victory. And consequently, Kassadin was pretty much banned out for the rest of the tournament against Peke. We'll see how it is. It's been a lot of changes since then.
It is definitely not the same Kassadin. The last change where his ulti now, you need to wait 20 seconds before it actually reset on the stacks, was a big deal because it means he's not as good as chasing anymore. You will run out of mana very, very fast and you can't wait